Mesa, Arizona, June 2008. Travis Alexander, a 30-year-old motivational speaker and salesman, was full of ambition and optimism. He was known for his outgoing personality and enthusiasm for life, with dreams of growing his career and eventually settling down. But everything changed on June 9, 2008, when Travis was found brutally murdered in his home. His body was discovered by friends, who had grown concerned after not hearing from him for days. What they found was a crime scene so horrific that it would leave an indelible mark on everyone involved.
What does this picture tell you about what happened to Travis Alexander?
Well, Vinny, this is an image that's taken actually from autopsy, and one of the things that is the most glaring in here are all these contused areas or bruises that he has on the surface of his leg. And even the forensic pathologist, the medical examiner, made note of these in his report. On page 4 of this, he even has a header that's entitled blunt force injuries. Wow, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that these injuries, these insults that you see, arose from some kind of impact that happened with this gentleman's legs. Now, how do blunt force injuries come about? Well, you can be struck by something can drop on you. But in this particular case, I'm thinking that because these are atypical on the tops of the feet, he was stomped on.
Stomped on by
He was
Jody Arias.
absolutely stomped on.
Let's move over to this area of the scene. What does this area tell you about what happened to Travis Alexander?
Well, what's the most significant is we have actually contact traces of blood here where hands have been placed as if someone is leaning over the sink. And again, this area here.
So we've gone through the last 2 shots of Travis Alexander in the shower, and then 44 seconds later we have this shot. And this is a difficult shot to get from our mock-up because if you look at it, it's of the ceiling, the molding, and it's tilted up. In our mock-up, we don't have a ceiling. We don't have the molding to show you. What we can do, though, is take a look at where Jody may have been, where the camera may have been, and where Travis may have been as this photo is taken. We know from these photos that at this point, she's probably kneeling down. Travis Alexander, 44 seconds later, probably still sitting or seated in the shower. Right hand on the camera to shoot the picture, accidentally or inadvertently, which is what everyone believes. That leaves her left hand free. Could she have had the knife in her hand at that moment? Now, the other theory out there from the defense is that this shot is taken when she drops the camera. Perhaps if she's standing up and she drops it as she presses the button, is that one way? We don't know for sure exactly what's happening at this moment. What we do know, though, is 62 seconds later, Travis Alexander is bloodied. We see Jody Arias' leg. We see him slumped on the floor from this next picture which is taken. The expert said it was taken upside down, so the camera's gonna be upside down, which makes sense because that's how it could be accidentally triggered. By just moving the camera, it'll take a picture here. A lot of people believe that there's a foot that we see over here. So let's adjust that over just a little bit, kind of like that. Let's see. Now this is me doing it. So now how does Jody Arias get this picture to be taken? Does she step on this on the ground? It's tilted.
On the evening of June 9, 2008, friends of Travis Alexander made a gruesome discovery. After days of no contact, they entered his home, only to find Travis's lifeless body in his bathroom. He had been stabbed nearly 30 times, his throat slashed from ear to ear, and shot in the head. The horrific nature of the crime sent shockwaves through the community, and investigators were immediately called to the scene. As police began piecing together the details, one person quickly came to mind: Jody Arias, Travis's ex-girlfriend, who had a tumultuous relationship with him. Initially, Jody denied any involvement, but as evidence began to emerge, her story would quickly unravel.
The scene pointed to Jody as well, and soon she was arrested. Her trial captivated the nation with months of lurid testimony. Through it all, there was a fascinating mystery at the heart of the crime. Who was Jody Arias? Here's Josh Mankiewicz with Along Came Jody.
Mr. Alexander was stabbed. You would acknowledge that, right?
Yes.
It would be you that did it, correct?
Yes.
The Jody Arias trial never played as a murder mystery. Jody, after all, had admitted to 12 jurors in open court and a few million viewers on TV that she was the one who shot, stabbed, and then stabbed some more her former boyfriend and secret sex partner.
As to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty.
Why then did Jodi Arias' trial never played as a murder mystery? Jodi, after all, had admitted to 12 jurors in open court and a few million viewers on TV that she was the one who shot, stabbed, and then stabbed some more her former boyfriend and secret sex partner.
As to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty.
Why then did so many millions of trial followers stick around for the final act? And why did so many leave home and work to gather on the courthouse steps to await the final verdict? We'll take an in-depth look at the case, into why Jodi Arias became so obsessed with Travis Alexander, and why so many of you became obsessed with this trial. Hello. We start with this home video played for the jury. It shows Travis holding court amid a circle of friends. Look a little closer, and you'll see a blonde tenderly nestled in his lap. That's Jodi in much happier times, when she and Travis first started dating. No hint then of what was coming.
We were excited for Travis finding somebody that he was interested in.
Chris Hughes was Travis's mentor at work. That's him on the couch with Travis and Jodi. Chris and his wife Sky were there when the two met.
When we met her that first night, we liked her.
Yeah. Right off the bat, thought she was someone that would be a good match for Travis.
Aaron Dewey was a roommate of Travis's.
Aside from the physical chemistry that was already there seemed to be a lot of emotional chemistry right off the bat as well.
Jodi Arias has been described as seductive, sexy, sultry. And Travis Alexander, when they first met, probably felt he was every bit her counterpart. He was a successful insurance salesman, handsome, charismatic. Dave Hall worked with Travis and was close to him. Good friend? Close friend?
Very good friend.
Best friend?
You know,
Travis Alexander and Jodi Arias met in September 2006 at a work conference in Las Vegas. Their relationship began with passion and intensity, but it soon became fraught with jealousy, control, and conflict. Friends of Travis described Jodi as obsessive and unstable, often inserting herself into Travis's life despite his attempts to distance himself. Their relationship went through numerous ups and downs, but by 2008, Travis had made it clear that he wanted to move on. However, Jodi struggled to let go. She continued to contact Travis, showing up unannounced at his home and attending events where she knew he would be. As the investigation into his murder progressed, police uncovered a chilling timeline that placed Jodi Arias at the center of the crime.
no, it's funny because I've seen recently numerous people come forward and say, hey, he was my best friend. And that's just the type of guy Travis was. He made everybody feel like you were his best friend.
According to his friends, Travis was more than a bit of a ladies' man. But this time, Travis was out of his league.
Jodi became Travis's drug. He was able to get something from her that he couldn't get anywhere else with the good, wholesome Mormon girls that he typically dated here in Arizona.
Which was what? Not just sex, but crazy sex, or
Yeah,
sex that...
over the top stuff.
Jodi used sex to control Travis. At first she tried to be like this good girl with morals and values, and then that didn't work, and so then she turned on the sex.
And that had Travis, a devout Mormon, tied up in knots, breaking the church's law of chastity. That is, having sex before marriage is serious stuff. Mormons believe the sinner risks an eternity in hell if he or she fails to repent before death. The result seems to have been that Travis kept his relationship with Jodi in the closet.
He wanted people to believe, especially the girls that he was dating, that he was still a virgin, that he was still worthy to have a healthy long-term marriage with a good Mormon girl.
So this was a guy leading a double life.
Yeah.
Jodi tried to resolve that conflict by converting to Mormonism, only to find it wasn't good enough for Travis. He summoned his will and broke it off with her. The moral equation may have been cruel, but to Travis, it was undeniable. Jody's lust, her willingness to have sex in all sorts of ways before marriage, might have made her the perfect secret girlfriend, but it simultaneously disqualified her as a wife.
She was not going to be the one that he was going to spend the rest of his life with. And he communicated that to her.
That would make anybody feel pretty bad and pretty hurt.
Yeah.
What Travis kept secret from his friends was that he and Jody were still having sex. What he didn't keep secret were his concerns that Jody was stalking him.
He was very disturbed by her behavior, but every time he tried to break things off with Jody, she would threaten to kill herself.
Clearly, Jody wasn't serious about suicide. We know that now because at the time she was making those threats, she was prowling sales conventions and on the phone at night, flirting with a guy named Ryan Burns.
She seemed like a cool girl. We exchanged numbers, but about 2 or 3 weeks after that,
Travis starts sending Mormon missionaries to her house. At night, he talks about the Book of Mormon. He quotes scripture to her.
He had a very significant influence on me as far as, my decision to join the church.
She was very spiritual, and so she was open to learning about Mormonism. And this was also a way for her to be more a part of Travis's life.
She chose to become baptized because she thought that's what Travis wanted.
Within a couple of months of them meeting, Jody is now converting to a new religion. This was unbelievably fast.
Travis actually baptized Jody himself, and there's a picture of the two of them before the ceremony.
He baptized me, and it was emotional, it was spiritual, it was powerful. It's a feeling that, like, everything just comes right into alignment, and nothing can go wrong.
It was very important for Travis to remain true to his faith because Mormonism saved his life.
Travis had a difficult childhood. He grew up in Southern California.
When questioned by police, Jody Arias initially denied being in Arizona at the time of Travis's murder. She claimed she hadn't seen Travis for weeks and was shocked to learn of his death. However, as investigators uncovered damning evidence like photos of Travis and Jody together on the day of his murder and a bloody handprint linking her to the crime, Jody changed her story multiple times. First, she claimed masked intruders had broken into Travis's home, attacking them both. Then, during her trial, Jody claimed that she had killed Travis in self-defense, alleging years of abuse. Each new version of events only further complicated her case, making her seem less credible in the eyes of the jury and the public.
No, I've never even shot a real gun.
You did not stab him 27 times?
No, that's heinous.
Or slit his throat from ear to ear?
I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat, ever.
Miss Arias, you may come forward and take a seat, please.
The defense calls Jody Arias.
Miss Arias, please stand to be sworn.
Did you kill Travis Alexander on June 4th, 2008?
Yes, I did.
Ma'am, were you crying when you were shooting him?
I don't remember.
Were you crying when you were stabbing him?
I don't remember.
How about when you cut his throat? Were you crying then?
I don't know.
You fired the gun, you shot him in the head, and you killed him, right?
Yeah.
Tonight, Jody Arias like you have never seen or heard her before. The accused killer testifying in her own defense for 18 long days, but now the video that could change your mind about Jody Arias. Cameras rolling in the police interrogation room, capturing Arias' bizarre behavior.
I didn't hear you breathe. I wonder how am I still here? Night on my moon, where's a thing? It might change my memory, and I won't go
And I can't breathe until you're resting here with me. And I won't go, and I can't hide. I won't leave. I didn't hear you breathe. I wonder how am I still here. And I don't wanna lose a thing. It might change my memory. And I won't go. And I can't breathe until you're resting here with me. And I won't go. And I can't hide. I won't leave. Be here with me.
Fox News correspondent Adam Housley joins us. Adam, that's the tape you've got. Tell me, what is the background of this tape? What is it from?
Well, it's from Siskiyou County up in the far north of California. At this point, investigators knew they had a palm print of her at the crime scene. They knew she was lying. They spent 4 hours with her in this interview room. And of course, the investigators coming from the Arizona area, the Mesa area, but Siskiyou County providing the location and the camera. This video came to us. Basically, our producer asked for it and they gave it to us. We went through it. And as you saw, there are just a lot of very odd things that she does in this room. And it goes really along with the whole story behind what happened to Travis Alexander and the trial itself. I mean, you have, as you mentioned, 18 days on the stand where even the jurors who in Arizona are allowed to ask her questions are very skeptical of her story.
The trial of Jodi Arias for the murder of Travis Alexander began in January 2013 and immediately captivated the nation. With cameras in the courtroom, every detail of the trial was broadcast live, creating a media frenzy. Jodi's defense team argued that she had acted in self-defense after enduring years of abuse at the hands of Travis. They portrayed her as a victim, trying to escape an abusive relationship. Meanwhile, the prosecution painted a very different picture. Jodi was a manipulative, jealous ex-girlfriend who had planned Travis's murder after realizing he wanted to move on. The trial lasted over for months, with dramatic testimony from Jodi herself, who took the stand for 18 days. As the nation watched, the trial became a spectacle, with pundits and commentators weighing in on every aspect of the case.
Court for the penalty phase of her murder trial. She's been placed on suicide watch after a jury found her guilty of first-degree murder for killing her ex-boyfriend. Now, literally minutes after the verdict, Arias told a Phoenix TV station she'd rather be executed than spend the rest of her life in prison. This was a trial that seemed to go on forever. For months, people by the millions were glued to their screens, hooked by every lurid, cold-blooded detail. Several hundred spectators gathered outside the Phoenix courthouse, and millions more watched from home as Jodi Arias learned her fate, rousing applause from the crowd as the verdict was read.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, in the above entitled action, upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty.
After 4 months on trial, Arias was stoic. Travis Alexander's friends and family embrace and wipe away tears. It was a dramatic culmination to the courtroom drama that sparked so much fascination. A real-life soap opera that had trial enthusiasts completely hooked.
I'm addicted. I get home and I immediately turn my TV on, I turn my computer on.
The details of their sexual encounters lurid and arguably racy for daytime TV.
And this is the infamous phone call that involved sex.
Overwhelming volumes of evidence.
Jodi and Arias killed Travis Alexander.
And of course, the 18 days she spent on the stand, sometimes in tears. Not since Casey Anthony have court watchers been so glued to the TV, transfixed on this salacious trial. Some cable news networks, including CNN's sister network HLN, dedicated hours of airtime every day. Audiences followed.
I was asked as...
The media circus became part of the legal proceedings when HLN correspondent Jean Cesares was called to the stand to clarify her own reporting about prosecutor Juan Martinez.
You reported that you made observations of a juror seeing Mr. Martinez outside the courtroom, right?
I did not.
It's a very, very tense time in the courtroom.
The verdict, a dramatic finale for viewers, but for Jodi Arias, it is a stark reality and a far cry from the conclusion she predicted in an interview on Inside Edition back in 2008.
No jury is going to convict me
Why not?
because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one. No jury will convict me.
Was she wrong about that? Again, convicted of first-degree murder. The penalty phase begins today. 46 minutes after the hour, Secretary of State John Kerry taking some ribbing from longtime friend Senator John McCain.
After months of emotional testimony and more than 18 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict on May 8, 2013. Jodi Arias was found guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Travis Alexander. The verdict brought a sense of relief to Travis's family, who had endured years of waiting for justice. However, the jury was unable to reach a unanimous decision on whether Jodi should receive the death penalty, resulting in a mistrial for the sentencing phase. A retrial for sentencing was held in 2014, but again, the jury was deadlocked. In 2015, Jodi was finally sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, closing a chapter on one of the most sensational trials in recent history.